Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Property Investment Australia podcast. I am one of your co-hosts, Lachlan, Vidler, and as always, I am joined by my very good friend, Will Sanchez. Will, we have a very exciting episode around self-managed super fund and property today. However, before we jump into the meat of the episode, how are you, my friend?
Pretty good. Other than my sniffly nose, everything else is good. So we're talking about Smurfs today, huh?
Talking about Smurfs. Mate, you barely told us how you are. Are you sure you're okay? You sound like you're just...
fantastic. No, fantastic. Just a bit sniffly, that's all.
Just a bit sniffly. Come on, mate. Surely the humidity and the warm weather in Brazil should be keeping the sinuses nice and clear.
Yeah, yes and no.
Yeah.
Yes and no. It gets a bit muggy. You know, one day you're good, sweaty, the other day, it's a bit cold. It's much like Australia.
Mate.
Or the coast, anyway.
Well, before you know it, you'll be coming back here and stepping back into our summer. You'll just you'll just be missing the wet season and the insane humidity.
Yeah, bring it on, baby.
Mate. Well, we've as you said, we've got the Smurfs today. We got SMSF. So I'm very excited. We're towards the back of our little mini series, and we've had some amazing feedback from people around this 3 property investment hack mini series that we've been doing. I'll be honest, I've actually really loved it. It's been a change up. We've obviously talked about a lot of things over 18 months of running the show, and I think that everyone's really enjoyed this little change up because we've
18 months.
18, mate. 18.
Oh my god! Yeah, 18 months. Oh my god.
I thought you said 80. I was thinking, mate, that Brazil air is getting to you. It's
No, 18. It's 18. Still 18 months. It's
mate,
crazy.
I know, and we've done a lot of episodes, but I think I'll be excited to go back, and I don't know if we do another mini series or if we go back into some of the other episode constructs. But yeah, I don't know. I know that we've both received from some of our mutual clients, some of our non-mutual clients, and just from listeners in general. I think people have really enjoyed hearing some episodes where they fit into a certain category and really hearing something that they can think about themselves. But then for people who haven't fit into the category that it might be, still listening in and hearing, just little tidbits of information that they can really, pull and extrapolate for their own journey of where they're at. So I think it's been very well received, a nice little change up. But today, We've got our little Smurfs one, as you said. So today we're going to be looking at 3 property investment hacks for SMSF buyers. And I think that this is going to be a really, really exciting episode because it's a little bit different. Now, I'm taking a big breath because it just makes me so excited. I've just got so much information to share. But before we get into it, I really want to call something out specifically. All right. Now, the self-managed, the superannuation space, and especially the self-managed super space, is an area that is littered with compliance and littered with requirements for financial advice. So I want to call out before we jump any further into this episode. All right, nothing in this episode is financial advice. Okay, none of this takes any of your personal circumstances into account. Today we are going to be talking about self-managed super fund purchasing in general when we relate it to property. So if you are looking at buying a self-managed super fund or even have and looking to take it further, it's so important that you go and you get that financial, that accounting, that legal advice from the relevant professionals. Now, if you don't know where to get that, you can come and see myself at Atlas Property Group. Myself and the team at Atlas Property Group, we work with amazing people in that space and can help. And if you are looking and already have some of that help and, either want to talk to us first or you want to go talk with Will and the team at Aussie Newtown, they are the same. They have amazing people and often it's the same people as us. All right. But make sure that you go and get that advice. All right. Now that we've got that compliance piece and that disclaimer piece out of the way, are you ready to jump in, Will? Are you ready? Are you ready to jump into hack number 1?
For it. Go for it. You go for it.
Go for it. So, hack number 1. Your self-managed super fund borrowing power isn't what you think it is. All right. Now, Will, if you allow me, I want to jump in. I want to give you a few of my thoughts because we obviously deal with lots of different people. We probably do a little bit more super fund purchasing than you're probably involved in, but you obviously understand that lending side a bit deeper. So if you allow me, I'd love to jump in and kick off the conversation. All right. So, guys, your self-managed super fund borrowing power isn't what you think it is, right? So there's a few ways that this really goes, okay? So the first thing that I really want to call out is if you're capped on your personal borrowing side, that is different and independent to your super fund borrowing power, all right? So you could own 10 properties in your personal name, completely capped out. You could own one property in your personal name and capped out. You could own no properties in your personal name and be capped out. And yet you could still potentially be able to borrow and buy a property or buy properties in your self-managed super fund, okay? So that's the first thing, right? The borrowing power is not linked into your personal name, right? The second big thing that I hear people talk about is they think that the balance of their super fund is equal to their borrowing power. So if you have 250 or 300,000, that that is exactly equal to what you can borrow, right? That is not true whatsoever. Self-managed borrowing is looked at very differently. It's about the contributions that are made into your super every paycheck or whatever it is. And the bank has their own mechanism for looking at that. But most importantly, don't try and go and work it out yourself. Go and see somebody like, Will and the team at Aussie Newtown. Go and talk to a professional in lending, because the way that borrowing is assessed is very, very different, okay? And what your maximum purchase price is going to vary. So don't assume, right? I would say, correct me if you see differently, Will, the most important thing to look at really is going to be around your balance, because that's the hardest thing for people to grow, is the balance. And typically you're going to be looking around, like different people look at it differently, but probably, a minimum balance of around the 200,000 mark, right? Relative to where property prices sit. The fact you still need to leave some money in the fund after you bought. Like if you've got 200,000, yeah, you can't just go and use 200,000, right? The lenders are typically going to want to see a little bit of cash left over in your fund, right? That amount might vary, but they're going to want to see something. So typically we'd be looking around the most important thing being enough of a balance, which, often might be around, say, a minimum 200K, right? I'll take a pause, mate. I'll take a pause because there's still more I want to cover under this hack around your SMSF borrowing power not being what you think it is. But I want to throw it to you. What do you think around the borrowing power not being what people think it is?
I would say there's a couple of things to self-managed super fund lending. The first one that people actually ask us about is the can I buy an owner-occupier with the funds available? The answer is simply a straightforward no. You cannot. It's only for investing, right? That's number one. But it's funny. A lot of people ask that, right? Because if you do the Chat GPT search, you won't find too much. It's just the basics, right? But when you dive deep, there's a lot of things involved, right? That's number one. Number two, a lot of people don't know that there's no correlation with the fund and the individual, right? Like you rightly said, whatever you've got in there, it's what your borrowing capacity will be done by the lenders, right? It doesn't matter if you kept out in your personal situation, your personal name, you can still borrow, right? These are the two things that I see more often when it comes to self-managed super fund. And when people do get to the second, third, fourth property in the personal names, and then they buy through a trust and whatnot, and then we provide the option. Was, have you thought about this? And they go, no, I haven't thought about it. I said, there you go. And then obviously at that point, they will start setting up the fund and everything else, right? So it takes a bit of time to get the documentation prepared and all that. So it's not like a quick solution. It takes a bit of time for the accountant, the legal team to set up, to then be in a position to buy again.
Right? Absolutely. I think a couple of really, really good points that you've made there. And I think that, the most important thing that we want everybody to take away from this first hack, which is that your borrowing power isn't what you think it is that super is a little bit more complicated than doing it, as an individual. And when I say individual, I'm even encompassing like whether it's in your personal name, whether it's in a trust, whether it's in a company, it's whatever it is, but just like buying basically in something other than super. It's that little bit more complicated because it has a lot of factors that go into how to do it and the compliance and all the rest. So get help, right? Get help. If your balance is at, let's just say it's at 200,000 and it's something you've been thinking about, it doesn't mean it's right for you, right? I'm not saying it is right for you, but that is where you start to move on and get help from your team, which as a little giveaway is, that's going to be hack number 2 in a second. Go and start the conversations, right? Talk to the people that can give you the advice about A, if it's right for you, and B, if it is right for you, how you can go about then actually executing and doing it. But for a lot of people, it is a little bit of a hack of how to keep growing your portfolio, and something we'll talk about, probably towards the end a little bit as well, because a lot of people don't realize their borrowing is done, but they might be in their 40s or 50s, whatever age, late 30s, early 40s, and they're super funds. They've had a good 15 to 20 years of working. And if you're in a couple, then suddenly you've got double the funds available, right? You think if you got two spouses and they've both got 100 grand in their super or 120 grand in their super, but it's done as individually as in industry funds, you could now look at maybe combining them. And now you got 240 in a self-managed fund. And now you can go and maybe look to acquire the next property, right? But the borrowing
power, how good is that?
Right? But I want to talk about that more. I want to talk about that more later, right? I want to talk about that more later. Let's close out hack number 1, right? So for everyone listening, hack number 1, your SMSF borrowing power, it isn't what you think it is. Go and chat with the professionals if it's something that you're thinking about doing so you can get the right advice. But odds are, if you meet the minimum balance requirements or the minimum balance and you're still working and you've got a decent job, you're probably in a position to be able to borrow. And then it really just becomes a question about whether it's right for you and your financial circumstances or not. Okay.
Can I say one more thing?
Oh, I was about to move to, I'm like almost like an auctioneer. I'm about to move to hack number 2 and close this one out, but you've just
let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it.
Mate, go for it. Close this out and I'll go to hack 2 after. Come on. Everyone now wants to know.
No. Just there's some pretty good servicing calculators out there. And if you speak to someone who really understands the intricacies of self-managed super fund, even if you hit a brick wall with your balance, you've got the ability, with depending on the lender, okay, you've got the ability to use your surplus income to assist with the lending. Bang! How good is that?
Wow.
I had to say it. I had to say it.
See, I'm glad that I had to almost like entice you into actually doing it. You don't want to say it. Well, there you go, everyone. Key factor. There are other things that can be at play to also help your borrowing, but you need to go and talk to the professionals, right? I think that's
remember.
Yeah.
Remember one thing, guys. The banks want to lend. You need the money. So we tell a good story. We combine the 2 dots. There you go. You go get your money. You go get your application done.
There you go. All right. We're closing off hack number 1 now. We're going to move on to hack number 2. And you know what? That's a pretty good segue, right? That's a pretty good segue to hack number 2, which is that SMSF property is a team sport, right? Or SMSFs in general. It's a team sport, right? So when you do it, it is so important, right? We keep talking about the advice. And yes, of course, we're doing this so ASIC and everyone else doesn't come after us for talking on a podcast about self-managed super funds. But we're also doing it because it's true, right? Whether or not you agree with the compliance aspects behind it, self-managed super funds do have more compliance requirements than if you're just investing in other entities, right? We just call that out, right? It's not necessarily more or less difficult. It's just different, okay? So we want to make that really, really clear to people. Don't think of us putting it in the too hard basket because it really isn't too hard. All you need is the right team around you, right? If you've got the right team around you, they're going to help take you. And you want to say something, I can see it. What is it you want to say? I can see it on your face. What is it that you want to say? I can see you go. You're about to jump in. Go on. Tell us. What are you going to say?
No, I think you hit the nail on the head there. you need to set the expectation right when it comes to self-managed super fund.
Yeah.
You're 100% right. It's not that it's difficult. There's more compliance involved. If there's more compliance, you're going to need more documents, right? So you got to go in understanding the SLAs can be a little bit longer, right? So don't go and have a chat to your self-managed super fund broker, asking them to, give you a pre-approval within two hours, right? So just give them a bit of time.
Yeah. So we come back to the idea that it's a team sport. And if it's a road that's going to be appropriate for you, you need to start with the right accounting and financial advice team, right? They're going to look at where you're at. They're going to get the entities set up in combination with the legal side. And then the financial advice piece is also going to be there to make sure that it's being ticked off that with where you're at in your life and your circumstances, it's right for you, okay? You need to do that. It's so important, right? You then have the lending side, right? You need the right team around you on the lending side because, as Will just said, it doesn't get done in 2 hours. You can't just rock up at an auction on a Saturday, put your bids in, win, and then expect it's all going to, it's going to be all hunky-dory and you're going to be sweet and squared away. There are pieces that go into it. But I want to keep emphasizing, it's not necessarily harder. It just draws on a different skill set, which is why you need the team around you because you're not really going to be able to do it yourself, right? You can't do it yourself. There are pieces that you need, right? And then even down the property buying side, right? You need a great buyer's agency team around you because they need to understand, right? You might be looking at buying different properties in your super fund than you might look to buy in other entities, right? There are different compliance things that come with property, which again, like for us, we're not going to advise on that. We're not legally allowed to advise on that. We're going to work with your other team members who are so that we can play in the left and right of arc to do that, right? But we also understand that, based on what that is, different properties might look like different things based on if you're buying in one entity or a super fund entity, right? So you need your team because your team is going to set you up for the most success so that you can absolutely supercharge the results of your super fund better than you might have been able to get in an industry fund. But every single piece in the journey has to align. Otherwise, you will fall out of kilter and you also might not get the best results. Do you have something to say?
Can I jump in?
Yeah. Wait, careful what you say, though, because hack number 3, you know what hack number 3 is? I don't want you to take any thunder away from hack number 3. All right?
No.
I'm warning you. I'm warning you. I'm waving my finger. You better not take anything away from hack number 3. Now, go away. What do you got to say? What do you got to say?
No, I was going to say that team sport piece is so important in the self-managed super fund environment. It's just not fun. Like, let me tell you, because you need so many different documents, right? Having an accountant that you're familiar with, having an accountant that will pick up the phone straight away if you ring him, or a financial advisor, or whatever the case may be, and you've got that sort of right way, it's so crucial. Because if you work with someone you've never seen before, you've never spoken before, chances are they might not respond to you fast enough.
Yeah.
Right? And then next thing you see, your approval's taking too long and this and that, and the broker's just too slow.
Yeah.
So
but I think if I was to just add on to the back of that, I think the other side of it as well, though, is that I'd probably say it's not necessarily whether you work with them or not. I'd say it's probably more from my point of view and what we see. It's more about where does their specialty lie? Because, and I'll use accountants as an example, right? So many accountants in Australia are really just PAYG box ticking accountants where they're absolutely fine for someone who just leads a regular life with a regular job with a regular income. You don't want to do anything special. You just want to pay someone to do your tax return to make sure it's done all right. And you pay them, I don't know, $500 for the privilege of doing that, right? But when you start to get towards this side, you need to have that all-star team. And we've done episodes on the all-star team, right? Not with a super flavor, but just in general, right? But the same rings true. If you don't have an accountancy team or a broking team or a financial advice team or whatever that fits what you're looking to do, and in this case, with super, if your current team is just a pretty plain vanilla, not really sophisticated, say, accounting team, you need to move, right? And that's where, for example, we work with exceptional accountants who know how to run that self-managed super fund setup, and not only know how to run it, but they also know how to do it fast, and not in a way that's fast we're skipping steps. More just that, like, when you've done it so many times, you're an expert and you know how to get it done. And if you go to your vanilla accountant that's never done it, A, they might give you advice that's just not true or correct. But B, it might take them a month to get it done because they don't even know how to do it themselves, right? They do so few. So coming off the back of yours, I just want to throw that in. It's about having the right all-star expert team around you because they're gonna give you A, the best and correct advice, but B, they're experts at doing it. So you know that they're gonna nail it as they're doing it.
Beautiful.
All right.
Couldn't agree with you.
All right. We got to move it on now to our final hack. Hack number 3, right? Which is that self-managed super funds can not only give you a better retirement, they can absolutely supercharge your retirement, but only if you do it right. And before we jump into it, I'm going to say it again. I've said it a million times throughout the episode so far. I'm going to say it one more time. This is not financial advice. I know I'm using words like supercharge. I am not saying that this is a golden goose and that everyone should be doing this. I'm not saying that whatsoever. What I'm saying is if you do it with the right team, with the correct advice, you can absolutely supercharge your retirement and your property portfolio and overall what you're going to end up with, because there are some things that you can do in self-managed super funds or some benefits that you're just not going to be able to get out of industry super funds. All right. That's my disclaimer. Again, the 31st disclaimer for the episode. All right. I'm so worried about ASIC giving me a call after this, but we're doing it anyway because we're disclaiming, we are, as we said, we are absolutely not giving you advice, just talking really generally. All right. So self-managed super funds can absolutely supercharge your retirement because the biggest benefit that comes by being able to invest, by being able to make your own investment decisions, and if you were to take your super fund towards the direction of property, is leverage, right? So with your industry super fund, right? Like, let's say you got a balance of $250,000, right? Let's say you and your spouse, you got your separate accounts. Let's just say, we'll keep the maths easy. We'll just say you got $250,000 and it's in an industry super fund, right? And let's say you get your 10% return out of your industry super fund, right? The biggest problem with that, which is the same issue that happens if you're just saving your way to retirement, right? Or even investing in the share market, is you can only get a return on the capital base that you have, right? Which in this case is $250K. So if you get a 10% return, which is pretty decent, right? I mean, if you went up to 12%, I'm not going to do the maths on 12%, but the point is that, you're going to get a return on the capital base that's invested. So if it's $250K, 10%, you're going to get 25 grand increase for that year, right? And that's pretty good, right? You're just doing 25 grand for really doing nothing except having your money invested in the market. But if you were to take that same 250 grand, and let's say you obviously can't spend it all, but let's say that you took what you could and you could buy a 600K property and you get 10% on that 600K property, you've now made 60K instead of the 25. And that's not even bringing in the rental return as well, right? So you've now taken yourself from having a smaller return to having a far greater return. And that could just be over 12 months, right? You now imagine how that goes after owning that property for, say, 20 years. And then maybe, because obviously it's harder because you can't typically withdraw equity from a property in super to then fund the next one, right? So realistically, you're saving your way to your deposit, or potentially you're buying property, sell it, and then you can divest to then buy a second one down the road. But the point being, like, let's just say you saved your way through your contributions into your second one, and you only ever had 2 in your portfolio. After 20 years, your 600K property might go from 600 to 1.2, 1.2 to 2.4, right? Doubles every 10 years. You get it up to 2.4. You got 2 at 2.4. That gives you 4.8 mil balance. I'm not accounting for inflation. I'm just making a really simple and reductive example here. You sell out, you had 80% debt on it. Maybe you've got, 200K left on it. And now, by the time you pay it out, your super fund is left with a considerable chunk of money, right? Far more than would have been left if you just had invested the capital base only into the market, right? Into the share market via a typical industry fund, right? What do you think about examples like that?
Amazing. You hit the nail on the head again. So 2 key takeaways.
Mate, call me Bob the Builder.
1, yeah, that's it. But 2 takeaways, key takeaways from this, right? Number one, power of leverage.
Yeah.
Number two, compound interest, compound returns.
Yeah.
Right? So go for it. If it's the right thing, the right advice with the right team, we're here to help.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think the key message is it can supercharge your retirement, but only with the right property. If you're not utilizing your all-star team, you're buying one of those off-the-plan apartments because someone's shown you a brochure. I'm not saying it doesn't perform. I'm just saying it's probably unlikely to perform. You're gonna put your super fund into that, and it's not gonna return. Right? It's not going to perform, right? Same as any other property. Just because you bought it in super doesn't mean suddenly it's now guaranteed to return. You need to be buying the right property, right? That's where you need to have a good team around you to support that, because buying a property is not the same as buying the property, and you've got to make sure that you're choosing the right ones to have the right impact down the road. All right. So,
Good
William,
stuff.
mate, I reckon
couldn't agree more.
You couldn't agree more. Well, if you couldn't agree more, maybe that's just a great place to take a pause and say we'll call stumps on this episode of 3 property investment hacks for self-managed super fund buyers. Now, to everyone listening, again, I'll make one final disclaimer riddled throughout. We'll make one final one, which is, again, none of this is financial advice. This has been just a very broad and general conversation around self-managed super funds and how, you can utilize them to buy property and some of the impacts that may be felt. But it is so important to go and chat with the right people to get the right advice around it. And with that in mind, if you're looking at the lending side, go and have a chat with Will and the team at Aussie Newtown, because not only are they fantastic at doing things in other entities, they also do self-managed super fund lending. So go and have a chat with them if you're thinking about doing it and you want to have a bit of a conversation to understand the lending side a little bit more. And if you are looking to buy into self-managed super fund, come and have a chat with myself and the team at Atlas Property Group. We obviously will not be able to give you the advice that is right for you, but we can put you in touch with the people who absolutely can, and we can talk to you about the property side if it turns out that it is the right investment opportunity for you guys. But atlaspropertygroup.com.au, it is something that we are very, very good at and something that clients love working with us on. So come and have a chat with us. But guys, until we're back next time, we hope you enjoyed this episode of 3 Property Investment Hacks. Make sure to drop some 5-star reviews. I haven't asked for that in a little while. But until next time, we'll see you soon.
See ya.
This is a Piccolo podcast production.